Welcome to the Birthlink Podcast, presented by My Friend's a Nurse. I'm your host, Colette Colliker, a high-risk labor and delivery nurse right here in sunny California. I'm also an OB certified specialist, birth educator, lactation expert, and mother of two beautiful daughters. I am passionate about guiding you through the miraculous journey of pregnancy and childbirth, using evidence and history and asking the reason why. I have some incredible medical friends and colleagues, and we're all here to help you navigate this often overwhelming birthing hospital system in the United States. My goal is to gain trust in birth, improve this system, and provide some valuable insights. Let's make this journey a little less daunting and a lot more joyful. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the Birthling Podcast. It's nice to have you here. It's nice to have your ears. And I don't know how long I'm going to talk today. I don't have any guests. I don't even have a topic really, but I wanted to just kind of tell you what's going on with me. So you know, I'm a labor and delivery nurse, and I've been doing this for 8 years, working at the bedside with moms. And look, the first 5 years, when I was working at the same hospital, and I truly loved it there. I learned so much. In the beginning, it was a little tough. There was, some, look, when you start in labor and delivery, you start with this ideology of birth and expectations of what it would be like to support women and babies and be working with other nurses and doctors, like experts, right? And then you're like, dang, I'm an expert too. Like, look at me go. And you're so proud of yourself, and you're just really happy to be there, and you want to do your best. You want to learn as much as you can, and you want to get it right. So as nurses, we focus a lot on interventions, assessments. So much of it is assessments. We're constantly assessing when we walk in the room. That's why we love you on those monitors, and we love getting your blood and taking samples and checking your sugar levels, just watching the baby's heart rate, watching, and sometimes, poor, especially baby nurses and doctors, they are very much more just like data driven. What does the technology tell them? I was fortunate to learn right from the start, like, you got to use your eyes and hands. So if the numbers don't look good, then what is going on with the patient? Look at the patient, look at mom, right? And she was very much, it's a patient, and to put it so bluntly, not as much as like a woman in giving birth, which I lost sight of over those years, unfortunately. But that's just kind of how we're trained in the medical field, I feel like, and I see it like across the board for doctors, nurses, even administration, worse. And it's the last few years as I've been traveling and getting a lot more experience with other nurses, other doctors, other facilities. And, like I said, I really love the hospital I started out with. I didn't see a lot of racism or coercion, and they were very respectful. Now, mind you, they were doing things that today I would have a problem with. Right. But I didn't know better back then. So from what I knew at that time, it was just a beautiful hospital. And I think most nurses stay in that zone of appreciating what they have and where they're at, which is great, I suppose. But unfortunately, knowing what I know now, having my eyes open to truths and really searching outside of the hospital for more information, it's become like blaringly clear. It's crazy. When I left and I started My Friend's a Nurse 2 years ago, I guess it was 2 years ago now, I thought I was the only, I don't want to say I thought I was the only one, but because I certainly didn't think that, but I just didn't realize how bad the problem was. Like, I knew it was bad. I knew, like, whoa, what am I seeing? But I didn't know so many other nurses, and even some doctors, a few, but they're out there, felt the same way I did, to an extent where they're online, they're educating, and they've been doing this for years, 100 years, like, they've always been like, and I guess so now I'm just like, got slapped in the face with the truth and harsh reality and got knocked over to the other side. And once you get to the other side, it's so, so hard to work in that environment with doctors and nurses that will ostracize you and build walls and, put you with put a target on you to because you're a liability to the status quo in a sense. It's facts. That's how it is in the system. So you have great nurses that are following orders and taking assessments and polite and doing the best they can. They're following the structure of the business and what the administration wants, and most of all, what the doctors want, right? And we're really good at unplugging you and getting you to the OR. We're really good at assessing hemorrhages and activating our hemorrhage protocol. And we jump, and we're very good at it. I'm very good at it. And I'm getting better. Like, I'm always trying to improve. So I always show up to simulations that when we have practices, when we like all of those things, I'm going to be at. If I'm not teaching it, I'm there, right? And when I'm teaching it, I'm learning I'm learning more. We're all learning together always. And that's what I feel like creating a team on the unit. I feel like that type of environment is safest. I think it's you get the most joy out of work when you feel like you're a team, and you stand up for each other, and you stand up for most importantly for patients, and you support each other as a team. And that team, to me, should always include the family, the mom, of course, the doctors, the midwives, anesthesiologists, everyone that's from cleaning the room to feeding us is involved in this team care and should be respected as such. Now, I guess this episode I'll get into a little bit more what just happened to me recently, but this is 2 hospitals back to back that I went in and worked at, and they really didn't have a valid complaint against me, right? I was questioned and I didn't really know what they were getting at, except the questions were like, did you tell the patient the risks of the doctor breaking her water after she broke it? Yeah, I did. Did the doctor not tell her the risks? No, she didn't. And I mean, that's how it usually goes. And so my standard of care for my patients is explaining them the risks. And if it's not done before, I have to tell them after so that they understand why now I am checking their temperature every 2 hours instead of every 4 hours. Why I'm going to be more on top of touching their skin to make sure. I'm going to be looking closely at the baby's heart rate and how they're doing. And I will suggest ways to decrease infections, right? Maybe it's not routine cervical exams. And if it is, then we want to have a reason why, right? So I think with this one doctor, I asked if routine exams were like her standard of care, if that's how she wanted to do it, but how would she like me to explain it to the patient? Like, what is the reason we're giving us? Is it because it's a routine exam, or are we doing it for a certain reason to check progress? Are we going to be making a decision? What's the decision based on? Is this something that you want to discuss with her? Now, I already know this is the doctor that didn't give her any risk. She just said, let's make this go faster. That's what is told to so many patients. Let's just break your water so we can go faster. And they fail. And it's, oh my God, now that I'm on Instagram and TikTok and all these places, it's like all I see are posts about this stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if they only knew how common this is. And no wonder women of all types, of all careers, of all ethnicities are out here talking about it. It's because I literally see it at the bedside happen all the time. And the doctors will cover it up. The nurses are just going to go along with it. They're going to be having their conversations at the nurse's station about, lowering your risks or hurrying it up, or what your plan is going to be in the next 12 hours. And none of it is going to be told to you. None of the decisions are actually being made by you. we're making them before we even walk in your room, and then they're suggested quite quickly. It's not sitting down. It's not a conversation. And I'm doing my best to sort of change that in a respectful way, which is why I like to have these conversations with the doctors ahead of time. But they don't always like that, especially when they don't know me. They don't know how I take care of patients. I mean, they're getting a nurse that is going to be on top of the assessments. They're going to be a doula and an advocate to this patient. I'm going to be turning her every 15 to 30 minutes while also making sure she gets some rest and she is happy and the baby's looking good. I'm on top of it. Like, I'm ahead of things, and I'm always educating, and I'm always educating myself as well. So I ask a lot of questions, right? And it makes me a better nurse that way. And unfortunately, there's just doctors, and at this particular hospital, it seems like quite a few of them that do not want a nurse stepping in like that. Do not want them speaking up or giving a patient options. You should have seen the look on, because there was 2 doctors that have to actually put in a complaint to me. It was that one, and then it was another one. And the other one, I could see on her face, she thought I was absolutely nuts when, I asked the doctor if she was ready for the Pitocin after delivery. And she says, yeah, you can do it now. Because I usually ask, do you like it right after the shoulders are born, or do you want to wait until the placenta is delivered? Some want it immediately. In our order sets, it says after the birth of the shoulders, start oxytocin or Pitocin. And I just clarify that with the doctor, because some doctors want to wait until after the placenta is out. So I clarify that with her. She said, go ahead. So I went over to the pump and I plugged it in. And then before I pushed start, I looked at the patient and I explained, we have postpartum. By the way, this patient was not bleeding. And the placenta had just came out. It was a very calm environment at that moment, because it got crazy. But I let the patient know that everything is good. Your birth is going smoothly. And we want to start Pitocin on you now, because she hadn't had Pitocin before. Just to prevent a hemorrhage and your uterus being too soft. This is an active management. It's routine. We usually do it to everyone, but you have the option if you don't want it. Is that okay? You're good with this? And do you have any questions? I said real quick. I said quiet. She answered in like a minute. She's like, yeah, that's fine. No problem. But the doctor was looking at me like, what is wrong with this girl? And mind you, I usually get that consent before birth, but it was like first thing in the morning. So we didn't even have time. But yeah, I'm going to let her know I'm giving her a medication. That's something I only started doing for the last couple years. Like, I wasn't trained to do that for Pitocin. I mean, we were trained to make sure right patient, right route, right medication, right dosage, right, all the rights, right time. Oh my God, it's like asking me directions right now. But you know what I mean? I'm supposed to ask all that, but it's not like get consent for this medication. But it's almost implied. But it's like I'm handing you a pill and I'm like, take it. And you're like, what is it? You're like, don't worry about it, just take it. They're literally, we're just starting an IV and giving you medication, a hormone, and we're not telling you. And the fact that she was shocked that I did, I could see it on her face, and was, not surprising, I have to say. But I kind of smirked a little like, yeah, that's what I do. Sorry, I would have done it sooner. And, that one, it actually ended up being quite an ordeal. This doctor did a few things that I just don't even want to get into at this point with this patient. That was very, very dangerous and concerning. And I actually brought it up to the director later, like a day or two later. And that complaint I had, the safety issue I had, it's a serious safety issue with this doctor, was brought up when I came in to answer the questions regarding my investigation because they were investigating the complaints. And I was just curious, like, why are a complaint against me is from this doctor, but what is the complaint? That I think from her, it was, all they asked me is, did you tell the director that this doctor, did this thing? Which I honestly, I don't want to get into. I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I'll get there. It's a lot. I don't know how to like handle the whole situation, but I know I need to talk about it, and I know I need to share this, whether you're pregnant and you are working with your doctors. And I mean, I guess I don't know what you're going to get out of this episode, except getting to know me a little bit better and hear my little side of the story, even though you don't even know the story, but I'm trying. If you want to know more, especially if you're a doula or a nurse, and if you live around me, I'll give you more of the details. I'll even give you names and stuff. But for the general public, let's try to keep it for now. Anyways, yeah. So this doctor, like, the complaint against me had to do, like, was this retaliation in a way? They were like, their egos, or they were protecting themselves, like I said, protecting their liability, because I was pointing out things that would ruin their career. Could really bring against the hospital really bad things if I brought it to light. And you guys, I was there for 3 shifts training, and I mean, I told myself walking in there that I was going to keep quiet. I was like, Colette, just keep quiet. We're building a business, and we're doing our thing, but we want to make some income right now. And I love labor and delivery. I'm used to working per diem, so like 4 shifts a month, and that's fine. I just wasn't getting those 4 shifts from the place I was at, so I decided, like, the nearest hospital had a position open. I'm like, you know what? Let me try. Maybe let me try full time. I might like it. Yeah, I was very wrong. Not that I was warned before going there that this was not going to be a good experience. There is a lot of bullying by the nurses, not to me. I didn't spend enough time there, but I could see it. And then they said night shift was worse, and you guys need to stop. If you're listening, you need to stop bullying each other, especially when it's a nurse, that may think like me, that on a more holistic level. We're very patient-centered in our approach and our care. And yeah, it's you're one or the other. Okay. You're advocating for your patient, and you're speaking up, and you're doing those things, or you're not. And understanding, patient positions and patient autonomy. Well, I mean, like, position, where they are in the ladder, like they're the number one, they're the VIP of the room, and they need to know what's happening to their bodies. Okay, they're not on drugs, they're not incapacitated. Let them know what you're doing. If you're going to be massaging, and it causes a tear or something, they need to know the risks of that and say okay to it. And so they brought these complaints against me. Another complaint was at the nurses station. A few of the nurses were talking really bad about a local midwife that I know. And I had a long conversation before that with the midwife, and she's just absolutely brilliant. She does mostly home births. Oh no, she does a birth center, but she'll also travel and do home births. And when she has to, she brings them to the hospital. And this is common around everywhere, right? When you have a midwife, if a complication arises and she feels, as a medical expert in the room, that you need a higher level of care, then she's going to call 911. Or maybe the mom is just laboring there and is pushing for hours and hours, and she's had enough. And she's like, I need rest. I need epidural. I can't do this anymore. And a midwife will comply, support her. And even with this, I feel like it must have been an emergency for her to come to this hospital, because they don't treat her well. And I can see by how they were talking about her, why. And it's just so sad and so, yeah, that was day one, guys. Day one that I said I was not going to say anything and keep quiet in a low profile. And I spun my chair around, and I was like, oh no. I said, hey, but like, let's just be so grateful we have an experienced and skilled midwife like her that knows the right time to bring her client in and supports them. I mean, thank goodness that we have midwives to give our moms these options, right? That they don't want a free birth, they want a midwife, they want to do it out of the hospital system, and that should be okay. And then I had to explain, that sometimes the cervixes, when they're complete, they're 10 centimeters and they're pushing at the birth center or at home, when they come in, the cervix may have come back. If maybe this is news to you, but the cervix does not just disappear forever. It can start coming back. So when you get there, you could go back to 8 centimeters, even more, as your body gets into like fight or flight when it feels like it needs, when it's going to a new environment. And I'm sure you've heard about that, right? So it's not uncommon, because they're like, well, it happens every time. She comes in and the patient is 8 centimeters. She was pushing. I'm like, okay, why is that? Let's talk about that instead of just bashing her. And let's find a way that we can work with her. Like, she's a human being. And there's so many times that they'll go on and they'll see bad reviews. As nurses, we'll see bad reviews about either the hospital or management or even the nurses. And we're quick to defend, right? We're quick to defend ourselves, but then we're quick to turn around and, blame someone else or say how bad they are when they don't even have the whole truth. So I had to speak up, and I had to shine some light on that, because it just was very toxic, just the way they were talking. So I did say something, and everyone went quiet. That's why bullying won't work with me. I mean, I get emotional. I get worked. I'm sensitive. It's not easy to speak up. But yeah, the tension is there, and the more I see harm or the safety of the patient in jeopardy, the more tension there's going to be as I try to speak up, right? It's just it's a hard line. And I told them when I was getting interviewed about this, about the hardest part about being a labor and delivery nurse. It's so weird that that's the question that they asked me on the telephone interview. And I said, communicating with the doctors and standing up and advocating for the patient when speaking up when I see something is wrong or I don't agree, and advocating for the patient when it goes against what the doctor wants, but it's what the patient wants. And I just can't not do that anymore. I just can't. I tried 2 different places. The other place that terminated my contract, I had one hospital, they said it was because I was posting content that tells women not to not follow the orders of the doctor. Now, you can go ahead, please go to my Instagram and Facebook and tell me which post you see that, because that's just not what I do. I never would say that. I say, ask these questions, especially if it doesn't feel right or you don't understand. If you don't understand a recommendation by the doctor, then what questions can you ask? And if you do not agree and you do not want it, that is fair, and you have that ability. And so how can you feel confident in declining? Because so many times it's strong-armed and they're not prepared. I watch it daily. Like, I hear the conversations they're having with me. They tell me their fears. They tell me their wants. They made the birth plan. And as soon as the doctor comes in, they're quiet. And they say, okay, whatever you think. Especially the fathers, especially when it's just like, I got told we don't know enough to stand up, like to say no to them. There's just no way. And defeat is in the eyes. They feel like they failed. And they have to literally put their lives and their babies' lives in these doctors and the hospital's hands. And that's a very scary thing. Like, how could we fix that? How could we make sure they feel educated and empowered enough to make those decisions so they don't feel like something was robbed from them? And that's what I'm really, really trying to do. And that's why I started My Friend's a Nurse. That's why I love this virtual coaching that I do, because I can work with these same families to make sure that they're prepared for the hospital system. And please, if you are ready for a coach, if you're pregnant, if you are interested in a doula, let's speak first. I work really well with doulas. I have my virtual program as a membership is a lot less than a normal doula, because I'm not going to be there with you in the room physically. So if you want someone there physically, you can look into your insurance, you can talk to Facebook groups, you can find someone in your budget. If you need someone there, I think you do need someone there. I think you should have someone there. If you want your partner and maybe have your sister or friend, someone that has the right temperament, that's very important, and that can and will support and understand your preferences and what you need. Because your nurse, like me, there's only so much I can do. I don't know you. We haven't had that long of a conversation. Now I could be laboring with you for 10 hours. So I certainly know a lot more than the doctor who shows up and has known you for 10 minutes or 10 seconds. Right? So there are certain things that I can say, hey, didn't you say you wanted this? Like the first doctor that had that complaint, she walked in and the patient had been saying how much she wanted to push on her side. She really didn't want to push on her back. And I was like, cool, of course we can push on your side. I even have multiple ways you can push on your side. So let's find what's most comfortable for you and what baby likes, right? Because she was on Pitocin, she had epidural, baby was having these decelerations. And on her side, we found a place where the baby was doing fairly well. And so she was pushing and she was doing great. And then this doctor walks in like, hi, I'm here, which, first pet peeve. So I'm sure she saw my face like, come on, this isn't about you. Like, you don't walk in like this, like stealing the show, like a savior, or like, hey, I'm here, like disrupting everything. We're literally pushing a baby out. This is such a precious moment. This is all about the mother and all about the baby. I'm being very quiet. I'm supporting her. I'm making sure everything is safe. Everything is up to protocols and procedures and what we do when it comes to charting and monitoring and all of that. But priority is the safety of the mom and her preferences. And she wanted to push on her side. And baby was doing well there. And so she came in and she's like, I'm here. And then she's like, okay, well, I know you want to push on your side. You're doing so great, but I really like you on your back. So I can just see how you're pushing. Maybe that'll be better on your back. So I can then support and have more control over the tearing, which falls like, okay, first of all, you're putting on her back, which is going to increase the chances of tearing. And then you're going to control it, which, I mean, that perineum support is great. Don't get me wrong, but like, you're not controlling the tear that much. I mean, or she said prevent the tear. And I remember she said that because I said, we can't prevent a tear. I mean, you could do your best just to lower the chance of a third and fourth degree, but I'm sure she's not going to say all of that. She's just going to basically give her a quick reason why she needs to go on her back. And so she did, and she brought the shining bright light on immediately, like totally changed the whole vibe, right? And then, of course, baby started having decelerations again. And so twice I said, if you're more comfortable, we can get you on your side. I know the baby was looking better on your side. That's all I said. Okay. And the doctor looks and she's like, give me a push. And she tests, she's like, oh, now that was so good. It's much better pushing like this than on your side, which she hadn't been there. How do you know? You weren't even there, because she wasn't holding her breath and turning purple and holding the back of her legs while she's on her back in lithotomy. Like, because of that, it wasn't as like effective. What? Okay. So yeah, I mean, I was just, I don't like that because it was basically, like, what do you call it? Like taking, downplaying, like, what is the word? Like taking away that like what the patient wanted to do, or just making it feel like she was wrong for even wanting it, right? Diminishing, I forgot what the word is. And to me too, right? So, she had that, and then I said, I waited a few more pushes, and mom was really struggling, and I said, we always have the option to push on your side. I said that. So yeah, one of the complaints or questions that I had in the interview was, in the investigation was, did you did you directly ignore doctor's orders and tell the patient to turn on her side multiple times? So the way they twist these things, and I was covering my face. I didn't have that many like eye rolls or anything like that. I was trying to do my best, like, at keeping it very cool, because it was about mom and baby. But the doctor didn't like it. I don't know what she's used to. But I guess nurses aren't allowed to give recommendations, or question, or give patient risks of interventions, or let them know if something happened with the baby that may have been the provider's fault. Don't do any of that, and then you can keep your job. So they had me on 6 weeks of investigatory suspension while they figured it out. I spent 2 weeks not knowing anything. And then they brought me in, and I was questioned and I brought my union. So if you're with a union and this ever happens to you, bring your union rep. And she was on the phone listening in on everything. And even afterwards, she was like, girl, I just like almost spit out my drink when I heard what these questions were. Like, are you kidding me? And she was like, if this is how you're, like, I want you as my labor nurse. And if I was going to give birth again, I'm like, yeah, I get that a lot. Look, I'm not scared, but a big issue, like I said in that first phone interview, I said that was the hardest part. And then when I did interview with the management and director for the job before, I let them know the same thing. And I said I was very straightforward. So what they heard was not surprising, but they did feel very, very sorry that it had come to that. And, their hands were tied for the most part. But, if they're supporting it, then it's just not the place where I want to be. I have to protect my reputation, and I have to protect my license. And so, as soon as I was on that kind of break, I knew, like, there was like 99% chance there's no way I was going to work there, because if I went back, the second something went wrong, I would be the target, right? And these doctors did not want to work with me whatsoever. They went to great lengths for me not to be there. So to me, that means that they were hiding something, and they knew I was going to get them in trouble eventually. So yeah, I don't blame them. I guess. I feel very, very sad for their patients that are going to be harmed in the future if they don't clean their act up. And for the hospital, no, I don't feel bad for the hospital. I feel bad for those nurses that are getting bullied and pushed to be silent. The director actually told me that, hey, we've come a long way for the last 20 years, so maybe we should just keep our head down. That's what she told me. So yeah, no, I don't know if you know me, but I'm not going to keep my head down. And so, yeah, I put in my resignation after the 6 weeks, after they called me to come in. I said, I'm not coming in. And that's it. And I just wanted to share that. It's just like, it's heavy on my mind. I have a group of, birth worker business owners that have been really, really supportive during this time, because, I just want to like get loud. I'm like, oh, how can I get the word out about this? But I do want to be professional. I do want to remember that they, I don't know what I want to remember. I'm processing it as well. I did remember I have a podcast though, and I have you guys listening. So feel free to reach out to me. Like if you're listening, I feel like we could be friends. So message me. I appreciate it. Just knowing that you guys are there and listening. Please leave a review. That would mean the world to me. And then message me. Let me know like how I can improve, what else I can talk about, topics that you would like to hear. I have a wonderful episode coming up next week, another interview, and I will be looking forward to hearing and seeing you then. So yeah, find me if you're interested in coaching. Go to my website, myfriendsandnurse.com. I'm plastered all over there. It's easy to find. Schedule a call with me. I don't want you to just order it. I mean, you can, but I want to talk with you first, right? And then I'll give you the link to pay. No problem. I'll give you a link whenever you want it to pay, but it's not that much. And you also get a super bill to get reimbursed by your insurance. So give me a call, schedule something, myfriendsandnurse.com. Let me be your virtual coach, and I can help your whole team. So if you have sisters, moms, husbands, boyfriends, girlfriends, wives, whatever you have, there to support you, they can come on, like join, and we'll work together as a team to build a great birth plan, to build the rest of your great team, to make sure that you feel like you are informed, confident, and ready for a birth in the hospital. All right. Because if I can't be there in the hospital anymore, because these doctors would want me there, if they could just stop for 1 second. I mean, maybe now that like I'm not pointing fingers at them, they'll be more supportive. They probably don't like that, but I feel like they would really support, because all my clients are coming in educated, confident, having wonderful births. I mean, some of the births, okay, I've had a couple of clients recently, just, you know who you are too. And I know you're probably listening. Craziness, like what? But still prepared, educated, felt like she was the boss, right? For the most part. And that's what I want for you. And they probably, will look back and think of like, damn, like Colette said to do that. Okay. Maybe for the next time, this is what I'm going to do. I have some clients that are preparing for their next birth, and they're not thinking about getting pregnant for years, but they're like, what do I read? That was crazy. Birth is a crazy experience. Do you know how many of these birth workers I interview that they changed their whole profession and their whole life path after giving birth, after a birth story that was so intense? It could have been so traumatic or intense or joyful or whatever it was, that they just have to get into the world and share the experience and be there to support. And I just want that for our birth workers that are doing this work. I get it. Like, how do I get out of it? I'm just like, all I do is birth stuff, and I'm obsessed, and it's just like, it feels like a calling. Like I can't do anything else. And it was scary, like leaving the hospital again at the second hospital didn't want me. I'm like, well, I don't think I wanted them either, And yeah, this last one I had to resign, because I was like, and that was a really, really scary email to send, because I had never done that before. And it's like, if I'm not a labor and delivery nurse, like that was a huge chunk 8 years, right? Like, and with no inkling of like not wanting to be except in the last couple of years. But now it's like, well, I have a bigger purpose. I really do feel like I have a bigger purpose. So, I'm coaching and I love it. I'm here for you. I will continue to coach. And I have the crash course. If you don't have time for a coaching, maybe you want to get on a call and then buy the crash course. It's $27. That's 3 hours of me just giving you all the tea, like all the tips that you need. Okay. Crash course. It's on the website as well, myfriendsandnurse.com. $27, guys. Like, come on, get the crash course. If you get the crash course, watch it, and then let's have a call, and then let's talk about it. Okay? And you'll feel prepared. $27. You get a coach. What? But that's how much I care. Okay? I have weekly workshops that are completely free every Thursday, 4 p.m. Come. It's like open office hours. Just come. Don't pay me. It's fine. But if you want that extra level of support, if you want that virtual doula, if you want me to know you inside and out and be there for you and get that plan, then it's also very, very, very affordable. And I would love it if you joined. Okay? All right. I think I'm done for today. 40 minutes. Look at me go. I'll see you next week. Bye. Thank you for listening to My Friends and Nurse presents the Birthling Podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and found it valuable. Before we go, a quick reminder. The information shared on this podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. Always consult with your healthcare provider for any medical concerns or questions. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Your support helps us reach more people and continue to bring you great content. Until next time, stay healthy and stay informed.